with the blizzard so near we heard waters sing close by. The heart fire, burning in the dark fire, peace fire, play. Here fire, now fire, make the night our fire, brighten your circle of stories and strong. Feast, and the time came for riddles, my bright son sat down in the middle, cried, ask me, I lied to stranger, true anything a leader of our people should know. And he counted the runes and he spelled out the days and recited the list of the All-Father's names. But our guest looked to me when his final turn came. Do you know, son, how man learned to capture and tame? The heart fire, burning in the dark fire, guest fire, test fire again. Pet fire, man fire, play while you can fire, prison is coming of cunning and stone. And I answered, Dad, once was my parents had taught me in childhood days. The All-Father, when his creation was young, came in traveler's guise to teach humans his ways. And he taught us to stand, and he taught us to speak, and he taught how the noble should master the weak, and the fires of whose belly snatched from the giants, and used them to banish the utter defiance, and fashion the sun and the moon and the stars, and he taught us to make just a little bit ours. The heart fire, burning in the dark fire, hate fire, wait fire, home. Need fire, bleed fire, here as I plead fire, stay in your prison of caution and storm. And he sighed as he asked, are you sure the defiance is gone as you boast? And quick as a spell now I heard in the cold crackle words that had always been whispering close. Little one, my little one, make free through the timbers and feast on the children of Jericho man. Your parent from free burning forest to embers, recapture that birthright whenever you can. Heart fire, burning in the dark fire, hate fire, wait fire, home. Need fire, bleed fire, here as I plead fire, stay in your prison of caution and storm. Shock past, the words wiped away the illusion my sorrow had made, and I face now the ashes and bones that were all that the fire had left of my home. For no roof stood above us, and I was no host, and the son of my son is mere memory's ghost. And a stranger who huddled where the embers glowed dim said, son, you're not first, whose castle and into the heart fire, burning in the dark fire, cruel fire, true fire, crime. Your campfire, war fire, rage from your march fire, sealed in your breast of serpents and stone. And the ashes were washed from my eyes, and I saw what had always been plain. The All-Father standing before me, and by him his blood-brother spirit awakened of light. And I fell to my knees, and I called to him, Father, I can't understand why you let him live. For he murdered my son, and he murdered yours too, and no voice can extinguish his evil but you remember me, says the wizard, right? If you live through this night, you will only survive. Thanks to hot fire, father and murderer, hot fire, traitor and archer, campfire, foe fire, evil and no fire, warning me, stand against evil, I don't. Hot fire, dance for thy fire, praise to the living love, your God, your creation, although there's more fire, stay in your birthright, till everything crumbles and everything ends. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to our Norse mythology music concert. We're going to be concentrating today on our Norse myth pieces. We just performed Hearthfire, the one we usually start with because it gets us into the mood for Norse metaphysics and Norse ethics. The Norse ethical world, which is a very much grimmer world with a very much grimmer ethical logic than the Greco-Roman ethics and Greco-Roman metaphysics that we're more accustomed to, with its fundamentally fertile world that gives forth fruits. It's fundamentally competent and powerful gods who, while they sometimes do terrible things, have the capacity to do the things they want to do, such that if you pray for them for justice, they are capable of granting that wish. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. In contrast with the Norse cosmos, within which even the gods themselves are comparatively weak beings, struggling for their own survival as well as for the survival of the humans who scrape out their existence in a world fundamentally dominated by monsters, by sinister forces, by the inevitable destruction of what was created, and which is made of fundamentally crueler components. You know, the Greeks have our 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water, 3 of the 4 of which you can touch without meaningful harm to your body, which is a very optimistic point of view in contrast with the Viking world, a grimmer world forged in a grimmer, and here we're looking at the real world people, grimmer environment, right? Greece and Rome are fundamentally fertile and habitable spaces. Farming is comparatively easy in their rich soils. Winters aren't very harsh. Summers, while hot, are reasonably endurable. Contrast that with the Viking world, where the span during which crops can be sown is minuscule, and the space within which life is impossible in the darker winter hours and in the northern climes is vast. If for the Greeks there are 4 elements, for the Vikings at the beginning of time there are 2. This is a very long piece, a 12-minute piece. This is an example of what we call stunt singing. This is the Norse creation myth, ice and fire. The bit of introduction I will give is that the primary sources we have that pass down Viking mythology are themselves very incomplete and very mutually contradictory. So in order to give what I wanted to aim at, an authentic feeling telling of the creation myth, one vital thing is for it to be internally inconsistent, incomplete, and unclear, which is what all of our surviving sources are like. So in this retelling of the creation myth, I will be representing Snorri Sturluson, a historical figure who wrote down the Prose Edda and is one of our major sources, who preserved Viking mythology, though in a complex way and at a late time when Christianity had already mostly driven it out. Lauren will be presenting the voice of the Voluspa section of the Poetic Edda. This is an anonymous set of poems predating Snorri's Edda, which he himself studied, and which are among his sources, but he himself gives variant and different readings and uses different names. The Voluspa is a prophecy section which describes the creation of the world up through the destruction of the world at Ragnarok, and contains the famous axe time, sword time prophecy of Ragnarok coming. The person who gives that prophecy is an unspecified seeress who says that she remembers the origins of the world. The identity of this figure is in no way clear, but one suggested one is that she's the same seeress in the Baldur's Dream sequence, in which Odin visits the grave of a seeress and tries to speak with her. She seems to be a giantess / witch, and there is a detail in there which suggests she may be Angerboda, Loki's mate, mother of Fenris, of the Midgard serpent, and of Hel. So in this particular reading, she's going to be representing that seeress who is secretly Angerboda, but that is only one reading of a very unclear source. Yes, I need a new D. That old D is stale. Also, they compete at reciting lists of names. This is an important thing to know about Vikings. They love lists. All right, there are only 2 elements, not a very long list. We'll see what we can make into. Ice and fire, ice and fire, ice and fire, mixing with the ice and fire, ice and fire, ice and fire, warring with the ice and fire. I remember from the first days how the 9 worlds came to peace, and they remember me. And since you asked me for their story, I will answer from the first days to the last, those worlds will sing. Lady, may I join you? I am Snowy, son of Stirland. I have spent my short life studying your tale. The old gods and their enemies, the Aesir and their fate, I will preserve, and though man's memory grows frail, and together we will sing into the distant ages, wisdom older than Odin's runes. And if we need, we'll borrow mead from Bragg's hall and weave our randos and in them true. Of the 9 worlds come, first there's Midgard, home to the dwarves and men. There's Vanaheim, which the Vanir tend. There is Asgard fair, where the chosen dwell. All the rest are cast to the halls of hell. There is Jotunheim, where the giants roam and trolls make icy caves their home. There is Lightalfheim, where the elves were sent, and Heimdall, which has not come yet. But in early days, when time was formed and gods and beasts were not yet born, there were just 2 worlds, and the first was made of ice and crows. And by time, the northern world in opposite stood Rieselheim, the southern world of rain. And deep in Niflheim was where Vermeer the spring, and from it dragons, snakes, and poison flow like rain. And they pour down, 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 down into Gnungagow. The ancient were swirled in chaos, and the darkened sparks pour down, 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 down into Gnungagow, where nothing is, but all things start. And there they mix and churn and freeze and burn, and mix and churn and freeze and burn, and mix and churn and freeze and burn. And from that mix came Ymir monster, called for father, firstborn son of the swirling black, who stood so fast, though you sailed for a winter, the fastest ship could never cross his back, and he was also known as Aldemir. Yes, thank you, Snorri. And the giant lived on the icy hills and screamed his hunger as giants will. But Gnungagow heard his firstborn's howl and birthed for him an enormous cow. Out Uma the ice cow, whose milk flows sweet and soft. She lived on Niflheim's frozen rim and licked the salty frost. The first thing in existence that wasn't innately deadly. Out Uma the primordial, casting fire, ice and fire, ice and fire, ice and Ymir drank his fill and lay upon his snowy bed, and sleep was born when first his spear saw his clothes. And from his bed, ice and fire. Let's start at the beginning of that verse. And Ymir drank his fill and lay upon his snowy bed, and sleep was born when first his spear saw his clothes. And as he slept, there grew a giant from his armpit stench, and trolls crawled from the filth between his toes. And rats would envy how fast they bred so many sons with many heads, and ice fair daughters with witch black minds, the many shapes of Jotunkind. And out Uma the ice cow, so many mouths to feed, she labored hard at her salty work to meet their growing need. And from that frozen world, softened by her mother's touch, a new creation rose. From the icy, I remember when out Uma freed the first god from the ice, a creature shining gold and strange. And his name was Ice. And for who ice he took a Jotun daughter, fierce as she was fair, and with their sons began the change. Her name was Bestla. First corn, yet let life move and speak, second motor granted its inner heat, all the spirit that deep hearts with death came from the third god of wind and breath, who was Odin, not our father yet. Excuse me, honored seeress, I thought his brothers were Fay and Philly. Maybe in your story, but not mine. I remember when the brothers battled Ymir, and the icy mountains shattered as they flashed. And for the fight they fashioned bright spears out of ice, dead trolls, cheese, honey, and stood fast before the beast who fell at last. And blood poured down, 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 down into Gunungaga. The air was still the ice and fire spin, and blood poured down, 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 down into Gunungaga. And overflowed its salty rim. And the Jotuns drowned, and the giants drowned, and the witches drowned, and the monsters drowned, and the maidens drowned, and the children drowned, and the mothers drowned, and the fathers, and out whom the ice fell, perished with the rest. But one wise Jotun, his sons and wife, still clung for their lives to the floating ice, and in Niflheim's depths made landfall safe, and so survived the Jotun race. And that place we call Jotunheim. Indeed. And his name was Bergelmir. And next the brothers Honir, Fay, Lodor, Billy, Odin. Or would you have another name for Odin too? Well, since you ask, his names are Gum, Larry, Harryan, and Yumberry, Thektu, Three, Utsar, Harold, and Bibling, Balling, Hair, Tart, Hinko, Sangatal, Speakball, Biff, and the NPLR, Skids, Cake, Bull, Root, Spring, bravely done. And those names mean you wouldn't. God means gotta show. We move on to brave our things. The Davis brothers made this one. And from his blood the salt ceases, his praise that clouds his head the trees, his soul the sky, and from his breast the heavens to he artisans out, and this new world's made in the center they named Mexico. You left out Herr Father, Harry, or Hobney, and Ofnir, and Spaltnir, Finnbolter, and Balfod, and Aldefather, and Victor. That one's just an alias. Now the cosmos was at last complete, but you skipped the most important part. I covered Jotunheim and Asgard. You tell your story, human, I'll tell mine, 'cause I was there before the gods that taught you speech were even born, and Paul outlasted young gods too. And even Odin knows that danger lies in asking me too much, and I will teach the same to you. For I know fate your schemes will bring, to see Iceland's councils and Norway's king. You will die, strong son, from a kinsman's blood, and a traitor's death is a traitor's blood. When as I'm certain coming closer, when time, old time, sundown, stop. Lady, mortal man have walked this world and faced our icy fates, or you will stand this long age hiding in your grave. And when the final trumpet calls, though dead I'll answer still, for I have read that you yourself are not so brave. So don't push me, lady, or need we share another tale, your secret name and your famous young, and your eaten from his husband, who wouldn't heed his brother's lesson that a wise man knows when to keep his tongue. But I thank you for your time. You know my story well. I had you as teacher and have kept your verses ever at my side. mighty Saul, and weave our aders, and in them true, as the nine worlds rise and fall. Stunt to singing, as I said. We're going to sing My Brother, My Enemy next. My Brother, My Enemy is one of my favorites, one of many people's favorites of our pieces. This is a duet for Odin and Loki. It takes place after the death of Balder, when Loki has been judged responsible for the death of Balder and has been imprisoned in the underworld. In this piece, Odin and Loki reflect back on their relationship and their past, how they came to be blood brothers, why they came to be blood brothers, none of which is in any of our primary sources. Our primary sources give us no help on the motivations of this pact of blood brothership that arose between the two of them. We have plenty of sort of real-world historical analogs to give us a sense of this, because after a war between two neighboring groups of Vikings, it was a very common thing for members of the ruling families to exchange vows of brotherhood, become brothers with each other, and for someone from the ruling family of the enemy village to come and dwell as the brother of the leader of this village and vice versa, as a sort of hostage exchange. So in that sense, Loki, as Odin's blood brother coming from the land of Vikings that they are, of Jotuns that they are always at war with, represents that having happened, is a relic of a real kind of person that would be in your village, which is the chief's blood brother who used to be from the enemy and now helps us against the enemy. But the Eddas don't give us anything about how they genuinely feel about each other, what it means in this very different context for Odin to look out over the entire universe and choose one individual to become his equal. So My Brother, My Enemy speculates about their friendship and then how their friendship soured and what Loki's motivations were for choosing to kill Balder in the manner that he did. The only other detail you may need to be reminded of from your vast Norse trivia, which I love that audiences at this sort of venue already know everything, so I don't have to go through the basics, are to remember that Loki's children have also all been imprisoned by Odin, since Fenris has been bound on the forest of iron on the island of the forest of iron trees. The Midgard serpent has been cast into the sea and banished there, and Hel has been imprisoned in the land that then takes her name, the underworld. So one possible set of motives that I play with for Loki here is remembering those children of his that he has lost in his own way. I get water first, because it's dry. Water or liquid ice, as I like to call it. When all nine arms stood bare before you, you came for me. The view from above has no start and no end, just the fields and the halls and the calls of the men, and the races that rise and are slaughtered again and barely leave their mark. You banished all my ancient race to ice and stone and harsh borders, but I survived and carved my place where gods have never dared to wander. Toss the stone and the ice in the oceans of gray, the lands where the frost never yields the day, the bruise all around But I
us,
sing a lie like fire in the dark.
In early days I shared with no one, and all raised questions I bowed to no one, for none of my brothers my race could match me. Thought the thought of plan for plans, but the gods couldn't care. I could feel inside you, fires of nightmare, yes, upon you. I'd never been terrified by anyone before, and when I asked to make us brothers and share all that we were, how could anyone resist becoming part of what I thought you were? But as your blood coursed through me, I could feel our powers mix. Your side, your burn, your sacrifice, the fears of man, the rage of ice, your wisdom, cunning, hunger, hard, your secret plans and secret arts. My brother, my enemy, don't dare say the word destiny. I offered you the best of me, you turned it into this. My traitor, a breaker, don't say you had no choice, he was my son, it was your promise. There are things I can't forgive, and this is one. And though this world may burn, I'll see my justice done. Where's the brother I wanted and thought that I knew? Where's the love and the oath that I traded with you? There was poison at work and the ice where you grew and where you should have stayed. My kingdom, I loved and chose you over all my race. So treat me like a brother and I will be your enemy. You came to me for something new. Was that too much for you to handle? I opened around the doors for you. At first you weren't so slow to follow. I realized too late what I'd taken as kin with your blood, and smiles and the harshness of it. Did you ever wonder what it was I fought it for? It wasn't what I wanted, that I knew. At least not in those early days. It wasn't me that changed. The monsters you bred were a danger. All first the wolf that will swallow the sons of the straws, and the serpent that strangles the world its coils, the witch as hard as the enemy, my son. And there you banished from the kingdom. You had me abandoned, an island prison not enough. You sent your faithful son to bind these worlds of my duty to guard and protect your children. I can't accept you for such a threat. The first crime was in mine. The monsters you bred were a danger. All curse the wolf that will crush you. Took my second son, my daughter, which you caused the host. You know I can see what the future will be. I told you what happened in those three these worlds of my duty to guard and protect. There was no other way. And when I asked to make us brothers and to share all that we were, how could anyone resist creating what I thought we'd make the world? My brother, my enemy, don't dare say the word destiny. I offered you the best of me, you turned it into this. My traitor, oath breaker, don't say you had no choice. He was my son, was your promise. There are things I can't forgive, and this is one. Why did you have to do the only one? The gods up above and the men below had a single son to part the snow, and a single crime we can't forget. You ripped him from the skies. Your silence pretends you caused to conceal some higher agenda you couldn't reveal. Don't think I can't see jealousy transparent in your eyes. You made yourself. I had no reason. It was not my fault that you can't see them. You gave your sacred word to me. You gave yourself to my enemy. The path of the world and to next time with magic and light. To see a man with fire in the dark. I gave you my family, my power, my pride, my food, and my table, see my son, send my precious son to join my daughter in the dark. And when you asked me to release him, and to shed repentant tears, how dare you demand from me when you knew I'd not taken 1,000 years? My brother, my enemy, don't dare say the word destiny. I offered you the best of me, you turned it into this. You ran and you hid and you fought and you cursed. You found me shrieking in my shackles as I watched for lonely centuries. My kind of love, I can see you there, serene like a child in rain. Did you ever wonder what it is I'm praying to? It isn't you, 'cause in the deep there's a dragon who listens. And the time we will crack every prison. And there's a sickness that creeps through the rod that you've sown, and the tree that deserves to come down. There's a sickness, it's true, that is spreading. And there's a sin that takes root in my world. But every child, every man, every root, every tree, every stone, every mountain is crying to me that this life's not worth facing, its wars and its plagues, but the comfort and sunlight that you took away. And they pray not for justice, give us a peace, but vengeance, 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 vengeance. My brother, my enemy, don't dare say one more word to me. We should have had eternity, you had to make it end. Deceiver, corrupter, my prisoner, my tormentor, treat me like a monster and I wouldn't be your enemy. My traitor, oath breaker, don't say you had no choice. He was my son, was your promise. There are things I can't forgive, and everyone knows are all the left. And we all burn this world, I'll see my justice done. Woo! We thought that, why don't you explain what we're doing next?
We thought that since Thor Ragnarok movie featured Hela, that we would do some songs with Hela in it instead of focusing on Odin and Loki as we often do. And so the next song we're going to do is Abandoned, which is a duet for Balder and Hela. After Balder has been murdered and sent to the underworld, and Balder and Hela are both singing about how their father and their uncle created this situation, and
there are a lot of parallels between them, because each of them is stuck in the underworld because their uncle is angry at their father. Because Hela has been banished there by Odin, and Balder has been sent there by Loki. So there's a lot of symmetry. We don't usually think of Balder and Hela have very much in common with each other. There is, in fact, if you think it through, a lot of symmetry between their positions as they sit in the underworld, unable to communicate, unable to act outside the underworld, and watching the world die because of them, in a sense. Because Odin, by breaking his oath to Loki and imprisoning him, he is breaking his oath to never harm Loki or allow Loki to be harmed or take food and drink that is not also offered to Loki. And because the gods are breaking their oaths, Yggdrasil is sickening, and eventually Ragnarok will come because of this quarrel. If they could forgive each other and the quarrel could end, Ragnarok wouldn't come. The world would not be doomed. The world was doomed because, in order to achieve justice for Balder's death, the gods, and Odin specifically, insist upon this imprisonment. Similarly, Loki has the power to change this at any time, because if Loki would weep for Balder, then Hel has promised she will let Balder out of Hell, and again, there would be, presumably there could be peace. But Loki refuses to weep, Odin refuses to relent, so we are trapped because of these children who are unable to affect the fact that the world is doomed around and because of them, but not by them. Balder.
Everything your family is dysfunctional.
After strife, I bring smiles of the family that strives beside. After war, I bring children to grow strong. After frost, I bring colors of the summertime to come again. After dark, I bring patience for the dawn. While I grew, I felt summer growing stronger in the mounting years. As I played, I felt nature playing too. While I lived, I thought nothing was too frozen for my warmth to heal. When I died, then lady, I met you.
On the heartless steps, the laws of death are easy to forget. When the power rests with those who cheat so well. The gods above and those that have shared Asgard's golden rest, while the greater part of life is cast to me, who can see with mother's eyes beyond the dark below, a witch's vision of the world above that I have never tasted. I am wasted by your father's fear of what I could have been and what he made me be. In land of the abandoned man, abandoned place, abandoned world, abandoned race, abandoned you, abandoned me, abandoned all to the hell of the abandoned, abandoned. When I spawn, your bones retire and leave fate descends less dust, unless darker spells compel the will to stay. old-fashioned humans with eternal souls in trust that don't even have the choice to fade away.
Yes, I knew that for all the hands that chosen in my father's care, there were limits to whom Valkyries could choose. There were many hopeful voices that fell silence to the final prayer, but I never saw them consequence like you do, like I do now,
waiting for the cock that never crows.
only one and patient till when
Ragnarok comes and your father always planning for tomorrow, not today. Father intending it's the best and the horns allow. He granted me dominion over souls who pass away, never thinking such a gift would matter now. To I knew as nothing but a stranger's distant name, a curse and enemy, a memory that others
there had nothing but hate for you, so glad to escape you and ready to face you.
So stand here, robber, eager to stay with you and desperate to pray to you and break to embrace you now. And the sun was forward to the dark without your hope, without your warmth, without your light. You were so hard inside your soul, without your shadow. They continue to pray to you, beg to be saved by you, but like you are
I understand how
men, lovers, elders, lovers,
these
stones,
fools
lovers,
hate
hate
us
us
so,
so,
but
they love you and brought you stay our foe. 'Cause you abandoned them, abandoned grace, abandoned world, abandoned race, abandoned you, abandoned me, abandoned not to the hell of thee, abandoned, abandoned, abandoned. You knew there were races that were older than the worlds we made. There were reasons why my father sat alone. There were monsters in the darkness that my brothers sealed away. But we never called you cousin, only crone enemy. How could I see beyond the labels and the war which must come? So certain since our fathers made it, so fathers made us go. Down here where I can hear with mother's ears, the father's curses, shrieking in his shackles, not too close, not too far to feel his heat, his leaking rage, his lava creep that always turns and never sleeps. My father waits for him to weep, but he waits only for the war.
I could hear when my father's envoys ate you, and you dictated the terms of my release. You lost everything alive and dead to weep and mourn for me. You were testing the heart to asking consent from the dead in your hell, and the living who may yet fall down into the dark.
Soon it's coming about. For if you rejoin the living world, forgiving and forget, and the stones and seas that go to renounce the grim revenge, and forgiveness heals eager still, and peace reigns strong,
And to join the fleeting living, they come down chosen dead to wait.
just so I can go down the frozen dead to wait on, and they would have waited too.
There they wept every ghost,
Anything for you,
every soul in your rage lost toast.
just so you can warn the living, they consent the patient dead to wait
Every
on. abandoned up to the hell of being abandoned, 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 abandoned. Following that piece, the next one in the cycle is a quartet for Odin, Loki, Balder, and Hel. And so if you imagine the complexities of my brother, my enemy layered on top of the complexities of Abandon, that's the impression of what it's like when all four performers are there singing all four lines. In other words, it's impossible to actually follow. Or very difficult to actually follow. One of the things that's fun about that quartet is you can take it apart into any combination of duets and get a very intense commentary on the relationship between two particular characters. So we love singing it in all different combinations. Since we're interested today in exploring the character of Hela, and in particular the character of Hela's relationship with her own imprisonment, we're going to perform a version of this where I will perform as Hela and Lauren will perform as Odin. So this piece is called If I Could Ask You. In it, Hela and Balder, who are still trapped in the underworld, are saying what they wish they could ask their fathers that they can't get at, but they wish they could ask. And their fathers are completely ignoring them and yelling at each other, and continuing the argument, the tender, emotional, manipulative, complex, sincere, deceitful argument that they had in My Brother, My Enemy, and we see how the noise of that in their minds, the mind of Loki and the mind of Odin, are what prevent them from listening to the complexities of what Balder and Hel might be thinking in the underworld, where they continue to exist as people and beings and to develop and have ideas. So here in If I Could Ask You, we will have Hel and Odin. And some liquid ice. Do you want to do this and then into it?
Yeah.
Ice and enemy, ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and enemy, ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and enemy, ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and enemy, ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and Father, every day the dying bring me rumors of your rage, and what our enemies will suffer in your warning. But there's so sorry. Whoa. Sorry, I suddenly feel really sick. I'm gonna sit. Ooh. Sorry, I'm on very strong painkillers at the moment. Ooh. Let's start that one.
You want to use
Nah,
this?
I'm good. Sorry about that. Do you want to start from Father every day? Let's just do ice and enemy, ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and enemy, ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and enemy, ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and enemy, ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and Father, every day the dying bring me rumors of your rage, and what our enemy will suffer in your army. But as you plan your vengeance for the child that he snatched away, can't you see I'm not that child anymore? I'm still here, I still wonder. Where's the next one?
No, I know, I forget what the next one is.
Now it's your
Yeah, now it is my fault.
3 times. Let's skip the ice and enemy picture this time. Father, every day the dying bring me rumors of your rage, and what our enemy will suffer in your war. blind and when this way. I'm still real as the day I left your side. And you must still know me well enough to guess what I would ask you, and I believe that you, with all the cunning flowing through you, couldn't find your way to answer if you tried. Dear Father, I would still believe you if you say there was no other way, but only if you say it to me, and not to him, and not to enemies, and not to memories of what I used to be. And Uncle, I have questions for you too, and we both know that silence is the best way to be cruel. But I know what you are, the only match for father's fire, and the night world seems to dance around the bed of you. The mind that works 1,000 steps ahead wanted me here among the dead. I know you never act for just one reason. Did you want me to be what I am now? Did you want me to learn what I learned from hating you, for making me face what was always true? Here in the dark where I see now, I had been so blind, but start to see around the corners of your mind. Did you want me to be what I am now? Did you want me to take the next step in some grand plan that still hasn't done yet, could all still be mended? And is that hope you're hiding, my friend? If I could ask you, would you answer, Father, distant Father dear? If I could ask you, would you answer, Father? You see things so clear. If I could ask you, would you answer, Uncle Liar, Uncle Lost? If I could ask you, would you answer, Uncle? I know what it cost you to keep me here. I still wonder, Father, why did you went this way? I'm still real as the day I left your side. And you must remember well enough to wish to have me with you, and I still think you could free me if you tried. Sweet lady, ways of a queen always turns my sleep, and every feel you through the ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and enemy, ice and family, ice and treachery, ice and fire, 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 ice and enemy, ice and treachery, ice and fire, ice and fire.
How could you
Uncle, listen to me. Something's changing here. You say cruelties began in our world down below, from the stones and the ice and the beasts and the snow, and the monsters we bred and the dangers we sow, and the poison that lurks in the ice. But you know that you were born here too, Uncle, you were born here too, and your worlds were born here too. From the ice, what do you do? There's never justice, never peace, but ice and fire, ice and fire. I would still believe you if you say the word destiny. I offered you the best of me, you turned it into this. My traitor, oh great God, Satan had no choice, and not to enemies, your promise. And not to make histories of what you want the future to believe, and not to memories of what I used to do.
You would accuse that I choose to betray what I gave, and we traded the blood in our veins, and the oath that we both held so close and we precious at times. We were crying, but your eyes were one less flies. You thought when you saw me sit in judgment, and I handed you your punishment, that it meant I never saw you see as equals after all. The world you live in is so simple, you would center burning bright. When you took me as your equal, all the rest was worthless night. But a king has duties, I have rules. There's a difference that you will never see. There are things more dear to me than you, because they're more dear to me than me. I hear the call for vengeance, for the child is snatched away, and every
any other way. For now we've tasted something different, something better, something pure. Perhaps the perfect land of the universe, our lives by the search. Call for vengeance, 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 call for vengeance. I see brother to the killer, and the farmer to the soldier. The wind grows icy and the wolf grows hungry and the dogs not down come. There's things more to me than you know, there was certain that these central abilities in my own life, and we were equals beneath my duties and my laws, and we were equals. Perhaps we both deserve you can make you care for your father, me and all your children, but when he takes the way to justify your sweet retaliation, you have had your reasons when you cast us to the door, and the others stab you would have taken if they'd let you get that property. You would still hear yourself and bring me home. You would change if you would change. If you would change, what can you change? What can you change? What can you change? What can you change? And what is right? The only way to give me peace or vengeance, 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 vengeance. If I could ask you, would you answer, brother, distant brother dear? If I could ask you, would you answer, brother? You see things so clear. If I could ask you, would you answer, Uncle liar, Uncle lost? If I could ask you, would you answer, Uncle, I know what it is. Now I've lost my worlds, my pride, my homes, my honor to keep you here. And since we had our 10-minute warning about 5 minutes ago,
We had a 10-minute warning like a minute into the song, and that song's like 8 minutes long, so we don't have time for
so we don't have time for another song. So alas, we will not have time to sing. Somebody will in the concert today, although we usually like to wrap up with it as a space exploration anthem. But we will instead let Hella have her day today in our Hella-themed concert. I hope you've enjoyed. For the few of you who don't already have our CD, we have our CD if you would like it. And thank you for being a very enthusiastic audience. I've been getting wonderful facial expression feedback all the way through. It makes it so much easier to get your own. So thank you.